Okay, so we are now recording. Hello, Samantha.
Hello, beautiful Desiree. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm great. It's a warm day here in Baltimore. I think we're like 85. I don't know how hot it is yet in Vegas, but it's pretty hot for us here.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We've been having some weird weather here in Vegas. It's been kind of windy and cold and all kinds of stuff, but
We can actually
for
wait.
the most part, the heat will be kicking in very
Oh, we
soon.
will. Oh, I know that Vegas life.
All right. So I am so excited and so pumped to talk to you today because I know we've only connected not too long ago, but I'm already so impressed by everything you're doing and how you're doing it. So I think we should start there by you introducing yourself and letting us know who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much. And I'm so impressed by you. So I want to hear more
Oh,
about
thank you.
you. So my name is Samantha Sammy Davis. We were just chatting earlier about what I go by. If you Google Sammy Davis Vintage, you'll find stuff about me. If you Google Samantha Davis, you might find other Samantha Davises, but somewhere I'm in there. But essentially, I have built two unique brands that are called Vintage Boss Babes and recently Vintage Jewelry Addicts. And what
Yes.
these brands are buy, sell, social media marketplaces. So what that means is that you enter a admin run community on Facebook, so a Facebook group, and to sell there, you actually have to pay to sell. Now, some people go, "Ugh, I shouldn't have to pay to sell on Facebook." Well, did you know that if you sell something on Facebook and ship it, they charge you a commission? If you sell on eBay and
Mm,
ship it, they charge a commission. If you sell on Whatnot and ship it, they charge a commission. So what I have
right.
built is actually, I call it a pay to play, which I know is like kind of an awkward way, but it makes sense to a lot of people where it's like, oh, like I'm paying an advertising fee. So you can post as many items as you want and you can sell as many items as you want. And you're only paying that monthly subscription, or because we host live sales, live sale fee. And this has been really a game changer for I want to say hundreds of sellers. These are men and women, mostly women, who found me beginning around 2020. So pandemic. I actually started my first community pre-pandemic, but once we all were at home, we all had a reason to be online, and
Yes.
my communities grew. We started live sales, and from there I learned really how to be the best admin and leader possible and create a positive environment. Now, I don't want to be negative about anything, but I think we've all entered spaces where it's like, I'm kind of scared. I don't know if I want to like
Yeah.
post here. And it's unfortunate, right? Because I want people that are beginners to feel like they can be beginners. I don't want them to feel like they're going to be criticized or ostracized. And of course, quality is important. But again, that's up to the admin to, foster that relationship with the seller so that if they need support, they can get support. So in addition to running these communities, I've offered, workshops. I've sold a few courses like do at your own pace coursing. I offer coaching. I also now have someone on my team who does jewelry coaching because having launched Vintage Jewelry
Oh,
Addicts, I'm not a jewelry expert. So I'm just going to like put that out there. I'm not an expert. I'm a lover. And so when I launched the group, the whole angle was, vintage jewelry for the fashion lover. So that also, again, people that are beginners or intermediates feel like it's a safe space to learn all the things, because there's a lot of things, and to also get support. So one of my colleagues, she offers coaching through that community. It's super reasonable. And she helps you not only with identifying, but also with how to sell it. And, again, why I'm so passionate about running these communities is because one of my missions for a very long time, I'm 38 years old, but I've been self-employed since I was 23, is to
wow.
help women be more financially empowered.
Yeah.
Um, and, we're not here to like wax poetic about obstacles, but there's always opportunities. And so where I have found like a desire to get out of bed every day is knowing that I'm I'm helping other people. I have done a lot of other things in resale. You know, I have a YouTube channel. I was a very early YouTube influencer. So that was 2009 to 2011. I had a website. I ran a vintage store. I worked for eBay as an influencer. But when I discovered Facebook groups, it was like that light bulb switch went off. And so now we're just really moving toward how do we as communities, you know, continue to make buying and selling easy, safe, and fun. And so, and I'll end on this, and this is where I met Desiree. I recently partnered with a software called District.
Yes.
And District is a commission-based platform, so it is different than what I've built, but it's an amazing opportunity for anyone, including Desiree, who is, you know, a leader who has a following, to build a marketplace and to foster a culture of buying and selling, and to basically create community for people who want to be involved as a buyer or seller in that community. I have so much respect for District. They are fairly new as a startup, but the same investors that invested in Whatnot, which many of us know, invested in District. So I always suggest to people, like, watch this space, because I have a feeling in the next few years it's going to grow leaps and bounds, and it's really exciting to be at the forefront of that.
Yeah, I had no idea that the people who invested in Whatnot also are investors in District. So that's very promising and very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, because that's how you and I connected. I found your community on District and was so excited because I said, Vintage Jewelry Addicts? Oh my God, these are my people. So obviously I joined. And then because I love live selling, obviously I applied to do a live selling show. And so yeah, I love doing live selling. As a matter of fact, that is the only way I sell my jewelry right now. I do live shows on Poshmark, Whatnot, and District.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is so amazing. How many live sales do you host a month?
Well, right now I'm doing a challenge on Whatnot where I'm doing a show every single day. So for the month of May, I'm doing 31 shows.
I need all the results. So it's May 8th. So you've done 8 shows. How have those 8 shows been?
Well, I've done 7. I haven't done tonight's show yet. I do a show every night at 7 p.m. Pacific time. One day I had to go early because I had something to do, but for the most part, it's every day at 7 p.m. And it's been great. It's been fantastic. It's kind of a challenge I'm doing for myself because I've kind of been neglecting Whatnot for a little bit. And so I wasn't growing over there because I was doing so well on Poshmark. And then when I went to District, I was doing really well on District. So I kind of focused my time and energy over there. But then I interviewed like one of the top jewelry sellers on Whatnot a few weeks back, and she got me all excited about, jumping on the Whatnot train again. So I said, okay, maybe I need to spend some more time over there because there's people having some huge success. So that's kind of why I decided to do the challenge just for this month. And I'm going to see how it affects my numbers. I'm going to see how much I grow, what kind of sales I'm having, because I think 30 days is a good gauge for me to figure out, do I want to continue putting time and effort there, especially when, you only have so much time in the day. I don't want to, it's like, I want to make sure I'm getting the most return for what I'm doing. And I'm still not quite sure where that is yet. I think it could be District. I think it could be Poshmark, but now I think it could be Whatnot. So I've got to figure that out.
Right. I mean, that is, first of all, I commend you for committing to a challenge.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, seriously, because a lot of people will be like, oh, this just didn't work for me.
It is hard.
We didn't put in the time to really see if it's going to work for them. I have dabbled with Whatnot, and I decided that it's not a priority for me because I have built a Facebook community, and it's more of a priority for me to put my time there. But if I had the time, I would love a 30-day challenge and Whatnot. And I know I would build a great audience. But the question, like you said, Desiree, is like, do you have the time? So I always support people in selling in as many places as possible, especially if they feel that they have the inventory to do that, because there will be crossover. There will be people that follow you from place to place.
Yes, and that's been the challenge, is the inventory management. That's
How
been
many
that's
pieces?
something I found out real quick. I was like,
Yeah,
"Uh-oh, do I have enough?" Because remember, I did your show too last week, so,
yeah,
I was like, "Do I have enough stuff
right.
to do daily shows?" So,
So true. But the beauty of jewelry, I mean, let's talk about jewelry and why I launched this group and probably why you love selling jewelry is that the well, that's just storage, much
yes.
smaller, um,
Mhm,
size free,
mhm.
collectors. So there are collectors with vintage clothes, but I think there's a larger collector's base with vintage jewelry. It's a theory. I don't know
Yes.
for sure, but I think because it's size free, so you can be a size 16 and you can be a size 6, and you can wear the same necklace. And then
Right.
yeah, I think it's a little bit easier to buy wholesale. This is, I mean, maybe not 100%, but I have bought clothing wholesale, and it's not good, or there's only a few good pieces in it. I think with jewelry, it's a little bit less of a risk. You can always kind of find some things they might not be signed,
Well,
right?
it's kind of the same. Sometimes bulk buying and when
Mm,
you buy those bulk, jewelry boxes, lots, whatever,
yeah,
um unless you can see, like, everything that's in it, sometimes you can buy some bad bad one. I mean, because I 'cause I've had some really good ones, and I've had some ones where I feel like I just wasted my money.
right,
So, but
right.
again, the more knowledgeable you are, you get a lot more discerning when
Uh,
you are sourcing, right?
mm,
And you start it's all about where and, I guess how much you know about the type of jewelry that you're looking for and that type of thing. So, I guess it's a lot like clothes where you just need to know your brands and know your materials
mhm.
and your fabrics and that type of thing. Very similar with jewelry.
Absolutely. But with clothes disintegrate, they get holes,
Right.
they
Smells.
they smell, and
Yeah.
or you come home, like I bought these great pants the other day and they were Christian Siriano, who was one of the Project Runway like first designers,
Mhm.
and they were so cool, but then like I turned around the crotch and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's so
Oh,
pink."
no.
So I washed it and I shaved it with like one of these fabric shavers. So like they actually look much better. But I was like, I didn't do a 360. I was like, this is my rule of thumb is to look all around the clothing item. And I feel like with jewelry, it's just a little bit faster. It's not so much like a let me turn it inside out and make sure that there's not a stain on the inside or
Right.
something that I just don't notice at the thrift store. So I'm really enjoying, myself being a student of vintage jewelry. How did you get started in it?
Oh gosh, that was years ago. I wanna say it was the end of 2019. I was
Mm,
doing because 'cause I've been doing eBay off and on since 2007,
that's awesome.
and, it was like the end of 2019, and I was leaving my corporate job, and I needed some money. So, I had had a lot of jewelry in the past. Like, I had a lot of jewelry of my own.
Mhm.
So I needed money, so I said, "Well, let me just sell off my personal jewelry." And I sold it really, really quickly, and I got really, really good money. And I said, "Wow, maybe I should do this." So that's how it started for me. It started with me selling my own jewelry,
Yep.
and then doing so well with that that it made me decide to sell jewelry like all the time. I said, because back then, it was really easy to find jewelry at Goodwill,
Mhm.
Salvation Army, that type of thing, because I don't think people were as into it as they are today. And so
Mhm.
it was easier back then for me to find really good pieces for like 3, 4, $5 maybe. And then
Mm,
I was able to sell them for 30, 40, 50, 60, and on up. Because
right.
people back then, they didn't know the brands, they didn't know about vintage jewelry like how people know today. And so that's how I started. But I wasn't only a jewelry seller, I was also kind of an everything seller. And so as I started to kind of do more and more eBay, I realized that I just didn't have the space to
Yeah.
sell everything and anything. And I
Yeah.
said, well, the jewelry definitely fits because I could have 2,000 pieces of jewelry in 4 feet of space. So that's when I decided to niche down. And then I started learning about reselling and, following people who were really, big and successful in reselling. And that's when I learned to really niche down. And then that's what I did. And so I've been full time jewelry mostly since 2020.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely, and plus I love jewelry. I know
Yeah.
I don't wear a ton, but I just love it. It's so beautiful, and there's always a story, that goes with some of these amazing pieces, and people just like people get excited. People are like, "Oh my gosh, it's so sparkly or so beautiful or whatever."
Yeah.
And then with vintage jewelry, people have a lot of their own memories and nostalgia. They go,
Yeah.
"Oh, my grandma had this," or "Oh, my mom used to wear these pearls," or whatever it is. So it's just so much fun for me. I absolutely love it. I plan to do it from now until I can't anymore.
Amazing. Amazing. And I hope you host many sales with Vintage Jewelry Addicts.
Oh, of
Um,
course.
we are growing faster than a chia pet. We launched January 1st and it's at 12,500 members. So
I
that's
saw. I saw. I was like, "Whoa."
4 months.
Like, "You are on fire with this group."
It's like Facebook was like, "Oh, cool. Here you go." I'm like, "Oh, thanks. Thank you so much."
I know. And I think that's see, I think too, you have filled a need because there are a lot of people who sell vintage jewelry, but they don't feel comfortable. Like, so not everybody wants to do eBay. Not everybody wants to do Poshmark or live shows on whatnot, right? A lot of people are still very intimidated by those platforms. So you've kind of created something where people already trust Facebook and they already know how Facebook groups work.
Yeah.
So I think you've really kind of meshed that with the people who are looking for an alternative, to sell their jewelry.
Exactly. As well as just people that are they're hobbyists. They're not full time like you. We absolutely welcome full time sellers, but also, we have like an open embrace for someone who's like, I'm just getting started, and I'm like Desiree in 2019, and I just like want to sell my collection, and I'm like,
Right.
like, let's go. And then, they might get hooked, right? But the other idea is that, and it's not even an idea, this is a manifestation, is that within that community, if you're a participant, it's a little bit easier than other platforms to actually make friends. And that's just because the functionality of Facebook is there to communicate. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Facebook for whatever reasons.
Right.
I'm a millennial. I was on Facebook in '04 when it first came out. So it's hard for me to like ever get off of it. But the advantage
Same.
then is that, you can message, you can friend, you can kind of keep in touch with their lives. It's just like a great touch point to keep in touch with people, versus I think on Instagram and TikTok, we follow more influencers, right? Than Facebook.
Hmm.
Like, it's not all our friends. So I've lost a lot of friends in those platforms. I don't, not like we've unfriended. I just don't see their stuff. I don't really
Right. Right.
have those touch points. So I've really enjoyed, and this has happened in my other Facebook group, which is for vintage clothing, but some of those women have become friends in real life, and they've met up. They're in completely different states, and they've met up, or they've gone to visit because, or like they were like going to that area anyway, and then they reached out to that person. I think we even once it almost happened. Someone was selling their van, converted, not a van, it's a bus converted into a mobile boutique. And she's in
Really?
Florida, and she met up with someone from Miami. They're both in the group to look at this converted bus, and I'm like, that would be
That's so cool.
$5,000 vehicle to someone else in the group. And so, these are the advantages, which is, it's up to you if you want to take advantage of them. But, a lot of times, we're very busy and it's hard to meet like-minded folks. So to have access to those people, whether they're people you normally would be friends with or not, I think that's the other beautiful thing about these social media groups is like, I'm friends with people that, yeah, maybe I'd be friendly, but like, maybe it's the age difference. Maybe it's it's the fact I don't have kids, they have kids, things do unfortunately separate you, right? In the real world.
Right.
When you come together with this mutual interest, it's like a lot of that just gets like pushed to the side. And it's like, you're my person, and all of a sudden you have really good friends that are hundreds of miles away. And that's what I've experienced. But I've been online for a very long time. So that's kind of been how I've developed some of my like adult friendships, is by meeting people online. And then, we eventually
Yeah.
meet up in real life. And I hate saying in real life, but that's kind of what you have to say.
Right.
But yeah, with the group, I have a lot of visions that I don't think other groups have done, and so I'm going to put it out there because maybe someone. I'd like to do more sponsored activities. So what that looks like is like, maybe there's like a giveaway or there's some sort of competition, and then people win something, or there's a brand that comes in and does some sort of special training or has a special offer. The group isn't big enough yet, but I think it can hit 100,000 within the year. And so that's when, kind of like a YouTube channel, I'm like, hey, how can I, create even more value for people that are here? And they're really getting it like in a exclusive way.
Oh, I think that's an amazing idea. And I think, yeah, you definitely can do that because I'm like you. I started back in 2009 with the whole social media thing. I used to be a mom blogger.
No way.
Yeah,
Tell
so I
me
used to do
more.
that. So, like you, I've been in the
Yeah.
online space and the social media space for over a
You've
decade now.
seen everything. Like, I remember
Yeah.
there was no Instagram.
Right, right.
There was
And,
none.
I remember when Twitter was still brand new,
Yeah.
and I remember I got my first follower on Twitter, and it was so exciting. But that's how long it's been. Like, I remember when Twitter was brand new.
Yeah. Yeah. And people are like, what? Wait, what's twit? Like, twit what? Like,
Yeah, nobody knew what it was and all that stuff. But now going back to your Facebook group, the other thing I want to mention too is a lot of people are nervous about selling their jewelry because of scammers. And the way you set your group up, because people do have to pay a fee in order to sell there,
mhm, mhm.
obviously you're going to eliminate people who are trying to scam because the scammer is not going to pay, to scam people. At least I would hope they're smart enough not to do that. But
Right.
I think that's really good because that's another layer of vetting as it relates to your sellers, which gives people more confidence to shop there and buy there.
Yep. Yep. And it's really great what I have going on. I have a software where you do put in your payment information,
Hmm.
but you're not charged for 30 days and you can cancel. So I do that because I recognize people just might not want to jump right in. They're like, well, I don't know. Am I going to sell? Is this going to be worth my time?
Right.
But they do have to manually, input their information. And so I think for the wrong people, that is kind of like a barrier where they're like, I don't want to, yeah, I don't want to pay to scam. Um, I just brought 4 people onto my team to help content moderate. And that is my commitment to trying to keep the place. I say the place, but this, digital physical space as positive and safe as possible. I know things are going to get through. People try to come into the group and say that they've like bought a new MacBook and they're giving away their MacBook
Right.
and they're just charging shipping, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And it's unfortunate, but like not everyone recognizes these scams. I was
Right.
recently scammed actually by a USPS scammer. Yeah, so I put my phone number in to get a delivery text because something was very late for a customer, and I guess they're able to scrape the site of people's phone numbers
Oh
that
no.
have been inputted. They sent me a text. I thought it was USPS, and I'm 38 freaking years old, and they were like, "We need you to input 30 cents to get it redelivered because it came back because the shipping label wasn't clear."
Oh no.
Well, for it took me to a site, looked like USPS.gov,
Mhm.
Everything was this, and I finally realized I've been scammed because I was putting in all my payment information correctly, and it wasn't going through. I was oh my
Oh,
god.
no.
I was like, I just got so I like called my credit card immediately. So like this is the
That's
scary part
horrible.
of the conversation, which is that people are vulnerable because we haven't seen the tactics before. But my intention and my goal is obviously, I'm making money from managing this is to manage it. And the other thing that we do, which it might seem a little harsh, but we don't want people to be claiming and then not buying. We
Right.
we call them ghosters, and with platforms like Poshmark Live and whatnot and District, you actually pay when you like push a button to claim something. But with some
Right.
of our live sales that are on Facebook, you're actually almost like verbally agreeing that you'll pay the invoice later. So
Mhm.
I do have like a reporting document where if people are reported 2-3 times, I just remove them from the group, block them from the group. I mean, I've had to do this in my other group from people that like they're perfectly fine. They're great people. They're just kind of not, thinking through their claims, and the commitment that I want people to make is like if I'm going to actually say sold, if I'm going to say that I'm going to buy it, that I'm going to buy it.
Right, right.
So that's the other part of it, which is really just trying to ensure that the buyer group, the buyer populace of the group is committed to buying.
Right. And people are, doing what they say they're gonna do. If you say you're gonna buy it, buy it, right?
Right.
Because that is a huge problem in Facebook groups that, not yours, but I'm saying I've been in other Facebook, buy sell groups, and that's always been the issue where people say, "Oh, sold," or,
Yeah.
invoice me, whatever, and then they
Yeah.
never pay.
It's like a high, I think, for saying sold, but then when they go to pay, the high wears off.
Yeah.
Like they enjoy the shopping experience, but the actual buying experience is like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. And it's interesting because a lot of people are like, oh, there's not enough disposable income and blah 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 blah. And I always fight back with that. Yes, a lot of us don't have disposable income, but a lot of us do. There's a lot I've just noticed as admin, there's a lot of people, this might sound strange, but they don't really have a family that they have to support.
Mhm.
So they have extra income. And I will be honest, the way I see some of these, buyers interact with the sellers, like they just want to support them. It's not even necessarily like, oh, I need all of this. Like, do we really need it? It's it's
Yes.
it's like a connection. And so that's the other beautiful part about Facebook. I mean, I would say any live selling platform is that if you're open to being who you are, right, which is just authentically you, the right people will be attracted to that, and they actually just want to buy from you because they like you. And so I see that a lot. And I think that that's, one of the more advantageous ways to sell if you feel like you're a people person. If you don't feel like you're a people person, but you're a computer person, then the Facebook group, back to what you were saying, you're posting items for sale and you're able to comment and chat with people. You really, I mean, Posh, they have like the great little sort of chat thread below the item, but it doesn't
Mhm.
give you that back and forth. And I've chatted with some
Yeah,
people
it's not very engaging at all.
engaging. It's
Yeah.
not, and you can't click over and see a photo of their dog and then say, "Oh, I also have a German Shepherd, and that's so cool." And now we're connected. So it's really special. It's really powerful. I'm really grateful to Facebook for having Facebook groups. I have visited the Meta offices in New York. I actually did an informational interview to work for Meta when I was debating going back to work. And I'm like,
Wow.
nope, I can't do it. I like my little, I like being an entrepreneur. And, I'm not going to
Yes.
say little, but, Meta is a beast, and, there's a lot of opportunity there. But, I would much rather be on the receiving end. So I hope that they, come up with some other ways to create better ways to protect people. There has been a lot of improvement. So if anyone's listening, and I've thought about actually making YouTube videos about this, and they're like, oh, I'd like to start a buy, sell Facebook group. That's a membership community. You need to get the right software. And there's a lot of software out there. There's Kajabi. I use something called Samcart. There's Thrive. I think WordPress has something as well. But yeah, just get to know the back end of what the like groups functionality allows. So there's a lot that over the last 4 years, Meta being they have built into groups that wasn't there when I first started.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they're cracking down too on third-party tools as it relates to using them with Facebook groups, because like we're recording on StreamYard now, and they said that you will no longer be able to live stream into Facebook groups if you're using third-party software like the tool I'm using. So I can live stream to a Facebook business page, but I cannot live stream using a third-party app into a group, into a Facebook group. So I'm hoping they do something about that, like give people the option to stream in a Facebook group, because I mean, that's if you're trying to like build the group and trying to have a community, I would think they would allow you to do that somehow, some way. Maybe not through a third-party app. Maybe they're going to build something on their own. I don't know.
Yeah. If they could, build something on their own where it cross posts. When you go live on the page with Facebook, you can cross post to other pages.
Yes.
So I can be live in 5 different pages at the same time, but I can't be live in the groups.
Right. And usually you want to be live in the groups. Because those are the targeted people you want, right? Like everybody and anybody could like your Facebook page, but like if I'm trying to target vintage jewelry buyers and lovers, collectors, usually they're in a group, right? And so I want to be able to connect with those people in the groups as well.
Right. Yeah, the way we are able to do the live sales, we so we use District as well, which streams onto our Facebook page, which is great.
Which is good.
It shows people that, there's a live going on. And if it's a buy it now, they can actually claim it from the live and they get a link to check out with their Facebook Messenger app, which is great.
Oh, that's great.
The District live sales are mostly auctions. So you actually have to like go over to District to participate with auctions. But what we use is a third-party app called Loyal Shops for the Facebook Reply Sold. And so that's a third-party app. So yes, it has to connect to the Facebook page.
Right.
And we share the Facebook page live into the group. And then they can click it and it takes them to the page. And it takes some time to just reach people. But I have experimented with people just going live in the group. The issue is that we don't have software to actually get people's claims. And sometimes things get competitive. So if 3 people want the same item, it's nice to have software that kind of backs up that like Desiree actually won.
Right.
But that might be something that I introduce in the future. And, maybe there's someone that's like moderating and says, oh, you won and you won. What I do like to tell people that I see a lot, and I'm not trying to be like a Karen. I mean, I don't know if that's the right phrase, but a lot of people do the like auctions that are in the Facebook groups. And it's just like, hey, starting auction, $10, bid in $5, bid, whatever. Auction ends 3 hours. That's technically not legal. It falls under a game of chance.
Right.
So using a software like District or using eBay or using something that has auction functionality, and you're basically driving people to the platform to participate in the software, gives you a lot more protection as a seller, but also as like an admin. So like I see admins that like allow that, and I'm like, you really shouldn't.
Yeah, I know, because I think that's in their terms and conditions that you can't do any type of gambling. Like you can't
It's
have cash giveaways.
nope, raffles are
You can't have any of that stuff because it's considered gambling.
yep.
And so, yeah, you got to be really careful with that. I've seen that too. I've seen people say, "Oh, enter a number between 1 and 50 and you'll win $20." But that's not legal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to be very, I mean, you can do it, but the issue is that, I guess the issue is like if something goes wrong and someone's like really upset about it, and that's
Right.
when, small business owners like myself, like I've been challenged with like names of products and I just change the name of the product because, I don't feel like paying $4,000 just to clean something up. I might have every right to that name because they actually haven't like put it under some like copyright or trademark. But
Mhm.
because they're like, well, that's my Instagram name and you named it's like you have to be careful the bigger you get is my point. So with Facebook buy sell groups, if they get large enough, it is on you to try to figure out, how do I protect myself? How do I protect the people that are here? Let me follow the rules as much as I can. Because once those groups start to hit 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 people, you know, it just becomes, yeah. So I saw one public group, they grew pretty quickly and they moved to private. So that's the other option, is like once you reach a amount of people and you're like, I don't feel like growing so quickly and I feel like this is enough to manage, you can move from public to private, but you can never move back to public. So Facebook,
Oh.
they're like, nope, if you move to private, you're private. Now people still find your group when it's private, but it's not promoted by Facebook. I think that's the difference. I don't think they really
Oh,
promote
okay.
private groups. So it's like
Oh.
they get suggested the private groups, but it's not like Facebook is like, I mean, because like I had one week, Desiree. I mean, we must have had 2,000 people join the group. I was just like,
Oh
what?
my gosh.
Like, what is going on? But we also had a lot of engagement, and engagement helps. Um, and yeah, so there's a lot to Facebook group management, but I do believe that for a small business owner, it can apply to a lot of different categories.
Yeah, because there's a lot of jewelry resellers who have their own Facebook groups where they sell their own
And do
stuff,
it,
right?
get your own group. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Like, so I guess that's a good idea we can throw out there, that if you wanted to start your own group and sell your jewelry, maybe you just have 20, 30, 40, 50 people in your group. You can totally do that too. There's so many ways to do this whole reselling thing.
Oh my God.
And you can do it with a big group like yours,
Mhm.
or you can do your own thing where you just sell to a handful of people, or maybe you do both, or whatever. But I think that's really important to remember, is like, we really can create this business and set things up to fit our lifestyle,
Yeah.
our personality, what our tolerance is for dealing with people, because
Yeah.
not everybody can deal with 12,000 people every day. Right?
It's true.
So, I just want to, put that out there, that if you're listening to this and you feel like, oh, well, I could never do what, Samantha's doing. Well, you don't have to, but I think that you provide a good example of what's possible. If you do want to take this to the next level, if you do want to do something big and major, and for serving thousands and thousands of people,
Right.
but you don't have to do that.
You don't. You don't. I like the idea of being a member of a ton of the Facebook groups.
Mhm.
As back to my whole thing about like making friends and just developing these relationships, you invite them to your own like VIP group.
Right.
So then, and that's one of the services. Like, I'm not promoting it this way, but it's like you guys are forming relationships with customers that can be with you for a lifetime.
Mhm.
And so it's up to you how you want to continue to cultivate. But I have a lot of sellers who sell with me 2, 3 times a month, and they have their own Facebook groups and they go live in their groups. I have, and this is something I've been thinking about doing. I'm friends with other platform owners. So we call ourselves platforms on
Mhm.
Facebook. So, sometimes they sell in my group. And so I've thought about doing like a free, like, hey, let's have a ton of platform owners like sell in the group and then we can cross promote, so it's
That's a
like,
great idea.
group, join that group. Yeah, yeah. And it's something I've been, because I try to give back. It's like sometimes I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel and I have to slow down here.
I
But
know that feeling.
oh my God. But yeah, it's a lot more fun when you're working with, other people. And I think like you said, if you want to take it to this level, like what I will share with people is like I average between both of my groups about 3,000 a month. So I have like a great foundational base of income. And then my resale income, is on top of that. And it's been a lifesaver at different cross points in my life.
Oh, I bet. I
I
bet.
went through a big breakup 3 years ago and I had to move out. I had nowhere to live. And at least I knew that I had something, that I could lean on because I was self-employed, but I was like in breakdown. You're always kind of in breakdown for like the first 2 weeks. And so, again, back to just like empowering women. I mean, empowering people because we all struggle, but like empowering women in particular to have passive income. I think resale, let's just like, let's not include the fact that you can build a group like mine, but just resale in general is something that like, if you need to stop it, or you need to, like you said, like change how you integrate it into your lifestyle because you're having a life change,
Right.
versus a full-time job where, maybe you'll be able to get like 2 weeks off, but then, it's kind of back to business.
Yeah, but sometimes you need more than 2 weeks, right? Because that's kind of why I really got into eBay full time, because my son, when he was a baby, he was sick a lot,
Mm,
and I couldn't keep calling out from work. I couldn't, sometimes, I mean, I wasn't sick, but my son was sick, which means I had to stay home too,
yeah,
because he was a baby.
yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of, I think as women, we really need that flexibility, even if you don't have children for whatever reason. Maybe you're taking care of a sibling or a parent, or maybe yourself. Maybe you've got your own issues that you need to address and you need time off or whatever. So, yeah, I think that's a really good point that you say you really can make this what you want or what you need it to be, depending on where you are in your life, what you can manage, what you want to manage, and what you want to do. So tell me a little bit about that then, because you've got your groups, obviously, but
Mhm.
then you're still a full-time reseller. Is that
Yeah, I say full-time reseller. I'm taking May off because I need to be more focused on like some systems and just some things that I'm putting
See,
into.
and that's nice that you have the flexibility to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. I just hosted 2 live sales on Friday. So, I was able to, kind of just like stack some money. I rent a space here. So I'm in Baltimore. I was in New York City for 16 years. And then I reconnected with a friend from college 2 years ago. Yeah, this is our anniversary month, and fell in love and
Oh,
decided,
congratulations.
thank you. We're, doing all the things, and we're probably going to go to City Hall this summer. Um,
Oh,
yeah, so he got me out of New York, and I'm happy. I was on super
that's
hustle mode
wonderful.
there. Thank you. So now I can afford to actually have space, which back to what you were saying, Desiree, it's funny because with jewelry, you don't really need to rent storage,
Right, right.
put it in a, cabinet, whatever. But I do love clothing, like, and I'm still, buying it basically. But I'm sorry, what was the question?
We were talking about like you're a full-time reseller.
Reseller, yeah.
You're doing your groups. I'm trying
Yes.
to figure out what all you're doing, as it relates to, I guess, work.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So, with the group management, I mean, it's a lot because it's a lot of communication with
Mhm.
people. But in addition to just creating like better systems, like, so like as a quick example, I'll talk through this with you. I mean, this is very nitty-gritty, right? So I had a free trial website with my software with my other group for vintage clothing, and I copied it for Vintage Jewelry Addicts. And I
Oh.
redesigned the landing page, but I didn't go through the automatic emails. So these are automatic emails. Well, I went through the one when you first sign up, but if you cancel, if you get a refund, if you're charged, because I always send, like a email if you're charged, it all said Vintage Boss Babes. It was all vintage. So this morning I woke up very early. I mean, I'm up at 7 a.m. rewriting,
Oh.
and so like that's an example of something I'm like, it's not priority, but it's a detail that relates to the brand. I just launched a website last September, and I'm still building content for it. So I worked on that this morning. I interviewed 2 people because I'm bringing more people onto my team to run the live sales, because I'm introducing more live sales. Um, what else did I do?
You've got a lot. You've got a lot. Plus you're a content creator, right? Because you said you have a YouTube channel, you post on Instagram.
I don't do YouTube. So YouTube is like the thing. It's like the shiny ball that I want so bad, but I keep having it hold.
I
I want
love YouTube.
Desiree. I'm so glad I met you, because I'm like, she's doing like, this is so smart of you to sit and interview people.
Thank you.
Yeah. How did you come up with this idea? Was it like, duh,
Well,
you have to
well,
go further?
I don't know if you know, but my background in my corporate life, I was a traffic and news reporter, right? So my background, my professional career, I was a news reporter.
Okay.
So I left that job. It was a very toxic situation. So I left that job in 2019. And at the time, I was doing YouTube because remember, I had started in 2009 as a mom blogger. So I was still doing like the mom blogging, the lifestyle brand and stuff. I was doing all the social media mom things, and I was doing really well with that. But then I went back to work full time. And so I was only doing that part time. But then when that corporate job ended, I dove all in back to doing YouTube and creating content and all that stuff. So enter the reselling era. So I was following a lot of resellers online. But when I noticed most of the resellers that are out there now who are sharing information and educating and teaching people, most of them are clothing sellers, or they're like everything sellers. There was no information about jewelry reselling at all. I mean, you would see stuff here and there, but there wasn't like a dedicated, there was no dedicated content strictly for jewelry resellers. And I had always wanted to do a podcast. I just didn't know what to do it on. So December of last year, I said, you know what? I'm just going to launch this. And I went from idea to launch in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And
How you doing?
and here we are today. Now we are 5 months in. The YouTube channel's growing. And I just found out last week that my podcast is number 9 out of the 45 best jewelry podcasts out there. I know. I was so shocked. My friend sent it to me. It's a list on FeedSpot, and it said the 45 best jewelry podcasts for 2024. And we came in at number 9. And it's crazy because 9 is my favorite number. 9 is my lucky number. So to make it so quickly in the top 10 of all the jewelry podcasts out there, I'm like so blown away. Yeah.
And you were going to be number 1.
Well, that's the goal. Like, just like how you said, we're manifesting, we're putting it out there. So my goal is to eventually be the number 1 jewelry podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts too, whatever, wherever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I want, because I love jewelry. There's so many people passionate about it. And I just want to share. Whoever wants to listen and talk about jewelry,
yeah,
let's do it.
Oh my gosh. And I mean, and there's so many things you can do, as you grow. You can go to conventions, and
which I will be doing. There's there's a big the Las Vegas Antique Jewelry and Watch Show is happening this month. So I will be there.
Nice.
And hopefully I'll meet some more. Well, I know I will, but I'll be connecting with people who love antique vintage jewelry and watches. So
That's
yeah,
nice.
it's very exciting. So I plan to, I mean, like you, I plan to take this as far as I can take it, and
Feel
grow it as much as I can grow it, you know. And if there's anything I can do to help you, you know, support you and what you're trying to do, I would love to do that, because I think that, like you said, you know, women supporting women, but it's also about really just kind of just making those connections and letting people know what's out there. It's like,
good.
if you want to do this, maybe not do what I do or not do what you do, but I'm hoping we can inspire other women to create their own empires, you know, or to do whatever it is they want to do, you know, because I know when I was starting, there wasn't a whole lot of people out there, you know, doing what you and I do.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that through this podcast, we can inspire more people,
Mhm.
women specifically.
I totally agree with you. And I always tell people, like, there's some inspiration that might not be for you.
Right.
It will kind of get you to the next step, where, like, there's been a lot, because I've absorbed a lot over the years. And it's interesting when I actually really get inspired. It's like what I least expected. And
Mm.
what inspires me the most is when people actually, back to your question, people actually share with me, like, how they, like, the granular. It's not necessarily like, oh, I did this thing and it was so easy. It's like the granular. So Katie, and her partner, I forget her partner's name. Oh,
Oh, Katie and Vicky?
and Vicky, thank you. So
Yes.
they do a great YouTube show, amazing YouTube show, where they
Yes, I love them both.
that they sold, what they bought it for, where they got it. They talk
Hmm.
about photographing it. They go into more granular because Vicky, she's hired someone to help her. And then she talks about, oh, I switched out the mannequin and this and this, and like how much she lists per day. And, she'll talk about, like, I woke up at 6 a.m. and I listed until 2. And I'm like, with that information, I'm better able to actually be inspired for me.
Mm,
Back to what you said, Desiree, not everyone might want to do what I'm doing. Not everyone might
exactly.
want to do what you're doing, but it's like, what what is meant for you will feel right. And it's
Mhm.
important for us all to be as honest as possible about
Yeah.
the process, or else we're just making it seem like, oh, I'm just so smart. It's like, it's kind of hard.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. I mean, it
to
ain't easy.
No,
You know?
it's not easy. Do you hire someone to edit, or do you do all of the editing yourself?
I do everything myself. Now, luckily, because of my background, working in radio and TV news, and I was a producer as well, so I know how to do all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing is it's a lot. It's a lot to do. So it does take some time, but the thing is I love it so much that it doesn't feel like a chore, and it doesn't feel like work, and it doesn't feel like a burden.
Right.
The only thing is, earlier this week my website got hacked, and that was a nightmare. And then, so cuz I built my website myself,
Okay.
so I know how to do web design. I don't know how to do I don't
This
know how to code. I don't know how to I'm not an IT girl where I can patch in security and all this stuff. So I had to actually pay someone to do that. So I had to hire a security company to remove, cuz I couldn't even log into my site. It had gotten hacked. So
Yeah.
like I couldn't do anything. I was completely locked out. So I had to call my web host provider. Then I had to call the security people to remove all the I don't know if it was a virus or malware. I don't even know how it works.
What's your
But
platform?
I use Bluehost, and then I use self-hosted WordPress, and that's
Okay.
how I built my site.
Okay.
Because it's funny, because now you don't have to do that. But back when I started in 2009, that was the only option. So I had to learn how to build a site. I had to. And so now you don't have to. You can use, like you said, Kajabi, Shopify, Squarespace, Wix. Like, you can use all, but none of that was there when I started. So I just do what I know. I know how to build a WordPress site from scratch. So that's what I did.
That's amazing.
And and plus too, I like having ownership of all of my content, on my website. But yeah, my website got hacked and I didn't know what to do. So, after whipping out the credit card and making a ton of phone calls,
Yeah.
finally got it resolved, but still, so
That's normal. I mean,
yeah, that's a day in the life.
it's part of the journey, and you're like, "Oh, shoot, I didn't know I needed that until I needed it." And then sometimes
Exactly.
on stuff and you're like, "I could have done that myself," but the truth is the time. For me, I'm always like, "Yeah, but would I have made the time?" So I paid someone to build what is now my third site since '09. Long story,
Mhm.
I sold my first one. Should never have sold it. That was like I will do a whole YouTube video about this one day, which is like, you need to keep your digital assets because you never
Yes.
know. And Google like loves old sites, and it loves sites that have authority. So it is very difficult to get authority from scratch, or as quickly as you might want. But anyway, I paid someone $8,000 to build my site. Now, could I have like figured it out? Probably, maybe with some Fiverr help, but like back to the security part, like I don't know that part. And I know that they took care of everything, and they have a staging site. So you actually edit on the staging site before pushing it live, which
Mhm.
helps to prevent problems. And so there was a lot where I was like, looking back, I'm glad I spent that money. And I always have them to turn to for work if I can't figure something out, and they know my site, and
Yeah.
but back in '09, yeah, I paid someone $500 to build the WordPress template, like just to get the basics, and then it was off to the races.
Yeah, because see, that's the other thing. Now I'm starting to think about, do I want to build my own website to sell my jewelry on? Like, do I want to have
Yeah, Shopify, yeah,
Yeah, like, do I want to do a Shopify store or do I want to do something else? Because people ask me,
or
they say,
WooCommerce.
"Oh, how," they say, "Do you sell your jewelry on your own website? Because I'd love to, support you there." And I always have to say no because because I don't have that option, at least not yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So, that's another thing too, is like once you start getting known and once people start, like you said, they want to support you,
Mhm.
they'll go to your website if you have one, and they'll buy from you there,
Right,
just because they
right.
want to support you or because they like you or because, you may have something that they're looking for, whatever the case may be. So, now I'm trying to figure out, do I want to do that? And if I do, how am I going to fit that in with the other 85,211 things that I'm doing? So,
That's exactly how I feel you.
so
I mean, if I were you, I would just choose whatever platform you feel you're excelling at, and then use that as your website, right? So like Whatnot, you know.
yeah, that's what I've been doing up until now.
Yeah.
But the thing is I would like to kind of be a one-stop shop kind of place, like if someone says, "Oh, I really," Desiree was talking about, I don't know, these necklaces on her podcast. I would like to get one or something like that. Then I could just direct them there instead of them having to go to Whatnot or eBay or something like that.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't know. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, we'll see. I don't It's not like I plan on doing that like tomorrow, but maybe in the near future, that is something I could consider.
Well, with the right, I mean, if you do WordPress with the right SEO, if you hire an SEO team, I think that's more valuable. If you know how to actually build the site, the SEO team will get the backlinks, and you just have to create content. So you would need to do a blog, you know?
Yeah.
But
Again, add that to the list.
oh my God. I mean, guys, I'm so behind on this website. Like, in terms of where I wanted it to be, it's all self-imposed pressure. But like I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I think I'm just gonna pull a few late nights, like I'm in college, and I'm just gonna work from like 10 to 2. Cause sometimes that's the only and so here's the other like real truth of entrepreneurship in general, or whatever you're trying to do. If you work a full-time job, especially, like I hate to say it, like you just gotta kind of push yourself and not sleep. And it's not every night. It can't be every night, but you choose when it is. And then you're able to get to a place where you don't have to do that. But there's really no way around it sometimes, you know.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
don't like it, that's different, if you do like it. But there are some things that if basically there's things I don't like that I know I have to do. So
Well, that's life, right? Even not work related, there's things in my life that I have to do that I don't like. All
absolutely.
right. Well, Samantha, is there anything else you'd like to share before I let you go? I know you're a busy lady. So,
You are as well. I can't wait to meet in Vegas.
yes,
My
yes, I'm excited
hair,
about that.
and you can tell me all about the weather. I know
Well,
that's
we have 2 temperatures, they say, hot and very hot. That's
uh,
the temperature in Vegas.
oh my gosh, I love it. So yeah, I would just, and I have a feeling that most people here are here because they love vintage jewelry. Please support Desiree. She's also a seller in my community. So by supporting her in my community, it's a win-win. You guys can visit vintagejewelryaddicts.com and then you can join that district community. We say district because that's the platform, but it's
Yes.
essentially my branded space. You can actually chat with me there. You can send me a message. You can apply to sell. It's open to US and Canada sellers. So if you're international, you can participate, but you just can't buy and you can't sell, but you can actually be a member and like check out the live sales. And then on Facebook, all you have to do is search for Vintage Jewelry Addicts in your search bar. And the group has a blue necklace. And that's how you know it's my group. And I would love to see you guys there.
Yes, what I will do is I will make sure I will link, the district group, the Facebook group, your Instagram, and maybe your YouTube channel too?
Yeah.
Would that be okay?
Yes,
Okay.
you've inspired me to get on it and start doing interviews as well. So I hope to have you on my channel in the future.
Oh, absolutely. I'm ready whenever you are. You just tell me when.
I think we should do like a show and tell. I love show and tell.
Okay, that'll be fun.
Mm. Yeah, I wanted to show you the shot, but I wore this for today.
Oh,
Not an incredible. It's not signed, but it's heavy.
wow. So that's like, what is it, a
But
pharaoh?
yeah, it's probably a
That's
70s.
definitely looks vintage. There is I can't remember, I've sold something similar to that, but it was marked, and I can't remember what it was now. This was probably a year or 2 ago. But if
Okay.
you Google lens that, I bet you something will come up.
Yeah, I haven't even bothered. I bought it from a seller in my district community. So I was just like, I need it. It was
Yeah, yeah.
the
I
price.
love that. I
So
love that. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. So I'm really looking forward to building a collection of vintage jewelry to go along with my vintage clothing, which I wear clothes older than me. That's always my joke. At some point, I'm
That's
hoping
fantastic.
no, actually no. The clothes will still be older than me because I love the 60s and 70s. So I focus on that. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day, Desiree. I look forward to sharing this in Vintage Jewelry Addicts. So if you're tuning in, and you caught this in the group, go follow Desiree on YouTube.
Yes, yes, I am so excited. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you so much, Samantha, for hanging out and sharing your story and, sharing what you're doing. We're all excited for you, and we will definitely be supporting you. And thank you for spending this time with me.
Bye, guys.
Bye.